Yo, what's up, guys? I'm here. I got I think it's a 98 Polaris 600 twin. Buddy blew it up. Needs a piston. She's fucked, and kind of fucked the head. So he went and he got another engine. So I'm just going to show you how to tear this down and how to change a piston in these. So first of all, I already got the bolts out. Anyway, 13 millimeter bolts. Pull all these out. You need to take your Y pipe off. Y pipe right here, and these here are Torx. So in this engine here, I don't know what size this is. Anyway, you'll figure it out. So you grab some Torx, grab 13 millimeter, pull all those out. You're gonna have to retorque those when you put it back on, put it back together, I mean. So what you want to do, grab well, first of all, pull all these bolts out, put them in a dish. Same with your torque bolts, everything. Make sure you pull your torque or all your bolts in a dish. All these bolts in the dish. You don't want to lose nothing, because it's a pain in the ass when you go to put it back together and you're searching for shit, right? Alright, all the bolts are out. Now, one thing I forgot to say, when you're pulling the head off an engine, you got to make sure you drain a hose. So you got to find a Prestone hose, one of these hoses. It's got to be a lower hose, because what you're going to do, you drain all the Prestone out, and that prevents, because if you don't drain the Prestone out and you take this head off, all the Prestone that's sitting on top of here runs on top of the pistons and runs down to your base. Then you got a really big job. So always remove one of the lower hoses first, get all the Prestone out, and yeah, grab something rubber, pull that head off. You can see that head, well, it's better shape than the other one. So I'll be using that head. Next, you want to grab, I believe it's either a 14 or a 15 wrench, and you want to pull, what size is that? It's a 14, and pull the nuts off, or whatever, well, both cylinders, whatever cylinder you're going to be using. So I'm going to be removing the clutch side cylinder, this one here. Be removing this, and have a look at the cylinder wall and piston, because the cylinder wall was fucked in that one too. Alright, so got all the nuts off. There's 4 nuts holding this jug on. Same thing, just grab something rubber and give it a tap. And a little tough to get off one hand, but anyway, there we go. We got it off. And that cylinder wall, wow, that's mint. That was brand new. And same as the pistons. Wow. Really nice pistons. Looks good. Alright, so I'm not going to be touching this side, because that side, this side here on that sled is still good. It's got a good piston and everything, so I'm not going to bother screwing around with it. I'm just going to leave it as is, and be pulling that piston out and putting it in. Alright, so I took both jugs off, because these pistons are actually brand new in this engine. The guy he bought this engine from, he said this engine was completely rebuilt. I didn't really realize it, but anyway. But he thought the crank was twisted or something. He said there was a miss in this engine. That's why we're not using this complete engine. But the pistons are like brand new, and the cylinder walls are like brand new. So I'm going to be using, since the pistons are brand new, I'm going to be using both pistons. I'm going to switch them both out in that sled over there. So what you see here, before you do anything with these pistons or anything, make sure you got all these holes and everything covered up with rags. I got this one tucked down in here. I got the piston up in the air a little bit. This one here is sunk down, so I got the rag stuffed in here. And what you're going to do, you're going to get yourself a small little screwdriver, and there's going to be a C-clip in here. And there's a little groove, and you're going to remove that C-clip. Now when you remove that C-clip, make sure you got your hand over it or a rag over it or something, because sometimes those can fly out. And anyway, they fly out, you'd be really lucky if you're going to find it again. Alright, I got that C-clip out. Now you're going to go from this side here, and there's a pin in here, and you're just going to push that through. If it doesn't push through, just grab something like a small socket that's going to fit exactly there. Just find something to tap that out with. Be very gentle, and you got to watch in the center of these, because there's a bearing inside of here, and you don't want to screw that bearing up. Alright, got this one out. Got it all the way through. And here's the bearing I'm talking about. It sits right inside your connecting rod. So save that bearing with that piston, and I'm going to be putting these pistons exactly the same way on the other sled. And second one, same thing. Bring the piston all the way to the top. Stuff a rag down these holes in case you lose well, absolutely anything. I forgot to add too, the reason why I'm using this cylinder walls and everything in these pistons. Well, I suppose you can check the numbers on them to make sure they're the same size, but you never know with these old engines. They could have had these bored out 10 thou, 20 thou over, and you don't want to put one piston that's 10,000 or 20,000 over, and that means a bigger piston, so you won't have the same compression on each side, and you'll end up screwing your engine. So yeah, that's another reason why I'm using both jugs. Hey guys, I got the old pistons off. Got the new pistons here. So I have some 2-cycle oil here. You want to make sure you get some oil basically on everything, especially your bearings. Make sure they're all well oiled, and everything before you put them on. And put some oil all around your rings. And before you put them on, put them in the cylinders. I always do it. Just you know, gives it an extra little bit of oil when you first start it up. Alright guys, I got the pistons all installed, and all right here where the gasket goes, all cleaned up. Now when you're installing these pistons, right here, the gaps on your piston, they have to line up these little holes, and inside these little holes you're going to have a little tab in there, and it holds your piston ring in place. So each one of them has their own spot where they need to be, and the pistons, so those rings have to fit towards the carburetors, not the exhaust, the carburetors. So make sure both your pistons your piston rings are facing towards the carburetors. Now, gonna come over here, and I got the cylinder walls. I don't have them cleaned up yet, but I got some gasket paper, and I'm gonna make my own gaskets. So for these, I don't have these cleaned up yet, but I'm gonna clean them. You just take a little bit of grease or something, or if you find something the same size as this, something circular, and then you can mark it out. And once you have that marked out, you apply grease all over here, set that down on your gasket paper, and it makes a stamp. Then you cut the whatever the stamp shows for holes and stuff. Cut all those holes out, and you have your gasket. Alright guys, I got the holes cut, and what I have here, I lathered this all up with this stuff here. It's aviation form of gasket. So almost basically anything I do with gaskets, even if it's a brand new gasket, I always use this stuff. This is great stuff, really good stuff. So I got the hole cut out, and this fits perfect right over here. Like really tight. I actually have a hard time, well, not a hard time, but it just barely fits over the circular part. So as you can see, I already have one gasket made. And the reason why you need it fitting really good is for this part right here, because you need another gasket here. I don't know, maybe I don't really need it that close, but anyway, I made it the way all these holes are formed. So anyway, I'm gonna get this one done, and I'll get to reinstalling these jugs. Alright, so I got this gasket paper on here, so I'm just going to show you what kind of stamp it makes. Pull that off. It gives you a really nice pattern. So you just cut all that out, and for the holes right here, that's where your bolts go through and your nuts hold your jug on. So what I have here, what I made the other one with, is an 8mm socket. Yours might be different, different skidoo, whatever. Anyway, I put that right here on the frame, any piece of metal you have, and then you tap that with the hammer, and it makes your holes. Really easy, simple way how to make your holes. Here it is here. Makes a really nice job. Alright, so I have that aviation gasket on both sides of my gasket on this cylinder. It's all clean. That there's all clean. Cylinder wall, or the base is all clean for the gasket. So let's get this jug put on. Make sure you don't lose your rubber O-rings up here in the top either. This one's falling out, and sometimes you'll get screwed and you might need new ones. They fall out, and sometimes they'll expand, and when they expand, they're a cunt to get back in, and most of the times they need to get new ones. So like I said, make sure your piston rings are right exactly where they need to be. So you put the first ring in, you got to squeeze these rings. Make sure the rings are exactly where they need to be on those little spots that I mentioned. There. So you squeeze the rings in. Start your first, squeeze the top ring in, get your cylinder all started. Get your second ring all lined up, and put it in place where it needs to be on that little spot. And then slide your cylinder wall over it. There we go. There's one. Let's get the other one. This side here, you're going to turn your clutch. Bring this piston all the way up. As high as it will go. Makes it a little bit easier. Now, same thing. Line your rings up where they need to be. Squeeze the top piston, get her sitting in. Second ring, all screws, slide it on. There we go. Ah, shit. I forgot. Right here, I'm missing a stud. That stud screwed out of the other one, so I'm gonna have to grab a stud out of the other base. There, 2 jugs are on. Now, put the nuts on and torque it up. Alright guys, I got her all buttoned up. I got the Y pipe on, everything on. My phone died, but anyway, you're gonna have to look up the torque specs yourself. But for this engine here, 32 pounds for the bottom, 22 pounds for the top. And then you got your hose clamp here, your Y pipe. I just I don't know what I did with it. Anyway, your torque, I just tighten those up by hand. Then you got your other hose clamps down here, tighten up. That's the one I removed for to remove the press stone, so all the press stone didn't sit on top of the head. But anyway, she's all ready to go. Let's see if it's gonna fire up. There you go, guys. Runs. One pull. That was I wasn't expecting that. Not at all. What you saw me do right here, this is your bleeder for your press stone. So you want to make sure that this is coming through really well. No air bubbles. And anyway, I'm going to end the video here. I'm going to fire this up, get it nice and warm, make sure all the hoses are warm. That way this hose is warm, that hose is warm. Make sure all the press stone is circulating. And that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, guys.